on the screen behind me, but to tell the truth, Chester's the only one. Yeah, I know. I can't.
Oh.
Yeah, it's they can't find the remote control.
So we've been
This Sansui has one button control. So up there you'll find one button. It turns it on and it turns it off, and it doesn't do what other Sansuis do, which allow you to select your input using that one button. All it does is turn it on and put it to sleep.
Well,
the volume control won't.
No, there's none of that. There's one button.
That's it, huh?
There's one button up there. I'm like, what a stupid product. Let's start with the Bill of Digital Rights, okay? What a stupid product.
no. Why would you buy it?
Right. Why would you build it?
Why would you buy it?
There are a lot of screens like this being thrown out onto the market, and you buy it because you don't know, because you're an uneducated consumer that just needs a TV set. But now we have to expect that there may not be the buttons to turn up and down volume or switch sources on the machine. I'm really disappointed with our experience up here right now. I have a Samsung. It has one button as well, but it's also a joystick. And if you pop, you can turn it on. You can hit it again. You can get a menu. You can scroll through the things on the menu with
Does
the one
anything
button.
tell you that you can do that?
No, I had to
See?
learn all that on my own.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it is the problem. It's also a problem of them taking advantage of our own ignorance, because we just think a TV's a TV. We don't realize all these things are connected to it as well. Like all this tracking that's going on, or the complaint. I was complaining about the TV Sid and I have in the office there, because I had to sign up for a Samsung account so that I could cast to it wirelessly. The same thing I'm trying to do right now, and I cannot get it over to the source.
Right.
In the Samsung TV, you can run a cable to it.
Yeah.
But if you don't sign up for a Samsung account, you don't get to use any other features on that device. They're all built in there. They're hardware features, but you don't get them.
Access them
That's right.
without the account.
And the only reason they're able to do this stuff is, as consumers, we're not educated enough to demand that these are, they say vote with your dollars. Well, I'm buying a TV set. How am I supposed to know whether it has one button that does everything, or in this case, doesn't?
Is the account free?
Of course it's free. It's
Well, I
free.
don't know.
Well, no, I mean, they want to track your behavior so that they can sell that to data brokers, because that's the real business. But we need to stop allowing them to do that stuff, and the only way we can do that is being aware of what's happening to us.
They're taking away your privileges.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean, they're not, we don't, I think as a collective, we're still not educated enough to know what we want from our products. That's why I like my Bill of Digital Goods. Bill of Digital Rights is because we don't have to think about those products. We can just demand that as individuals, we should be protected from these nuisances.
And you know a lot. Imagine
Right.
people like me.
Yeah.
Well, look how long it took for me just to find the button.
Yeah, it's true. And you almost fell off the chair.
All right. That broke your neck.
How you doing, TJ? Welcome.
Then whose fault would that have been?
I'm just ranting because we can't find the remote control for the TV. And so, of course you're able to use manual controls, but there's one button up there. There's just one. And it turns it on, and if you hit it again, it goes to sleep. And if you look at the documentation, it's supposed to go to a menu. And you're supposed to use that one button to cycle through the menu. One button still. And I'm complaining because we can't control volume, we can't control input source. All we can do is turn it on. And is that really our fault to have bought a product like that when they've left us without the knowledge to understand what they're selling us?
Who's they?
The people that build it, and the people and us as well, because we don't understand the kind of regulations that we should be looking for, so that we don't accidentally buy a product that you can't control without a remote control.
Oh, so it is ultimately your problem, my problem, the buyer's problem.
The only reason they're allowed to do this to us is because we don't understand it's being done to us.
Or in other words, not my monkey, not my circus, but I just happen to know all the clowns.
Okay. I mean, like, what would be great though is if we start recognizing the feature set that we're looking for right up front. We know when we're going in to buy TVs, we know we want manual controls. We know, or maybe they're just like my rule of appliances, where if it can be done without a computer, it has to be done without a computer. You can add a computer, you can add value by bringing features to a device. But damn it, if you hit the on button, it should turn on. It should have volume buttons. It's a TV.
So like my hot tub has a wireless app to it, but it will function without that wireless app also.
Right. That is the kind of protections we should be forcing our government to force onto.
How about forcing ourselves to become an educator?
It doesn't matter at this point. I mean, we need to buy products that don't do that. And right now the market is flush with products that do this stuff. They've found ways to monetize everything. And they don't want to see it go in that direction. They'll spend lots of money marketing against this direction. But if we had a protection, an individual protection saying any appliances out there need to do their fundamental job with or without a digital
So
component.
You're saying we need to be protected from our selves, from our stupidity.
I don't know about that, but
No,
I
it
think
sounds
that
like
we
you're
don't have the opportunity of choice at the moment.
I'm just
No, I hear
I'm
you,
just
but
creating-
I'd appreciate that we'd have the opportunity of choice, even with our own knowledge right now. Those products are not existing. You buy a stove and the computer goes out, you lose the stove.
Yeah.
You buy a refrigerator and the computer goes out, you lose a refrigerator. It's not because it won't keep it cold. It's because we haven't insisted that its fundamental job is to keep things cold, regardless of whether the computer works or not. That's a fundamental job that's been done for over 100 years, and it's only become something that breaks recently. And it's because of the digital
Remember back
appendage
in the-
added to it.
remember back in the 40s and 50s, they had ice boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
Do
remember
we
that?
want to go back? to
Yeah,
those
he's
days?
old.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
The Iceman delivered the ice to us.
Is there anything about what I'm saying that makes you think we would go back to putting ice in boxes
No,
to
I'm
keep
just-
food
I'm-
cold?
Again, I'm just- you know me. My
Yeah,
thought
EMP.
process comes from-
That I didn't mention EMP. You did. I asked if there was anything I said that would bring us back to ice
No, my
boxes.
thought process is just critical thinking.
Say again.
My thought process is based on critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not challenging you. I'm just opening the conversation. That's
Sure, but
it's the old bit of, okay, the vacuum cleaner went out. So do we want to go back to beating rugs?
fortunately I haven't owned a vacuum cleaner yet that would go out because a computer chip burned out.
Yeah.
I haven't had that experience with a vacuum cleaner yet, but I expect it. I expect it to happen.
But I'd love a
And we-
rug
Then it
heater.
will.
How did we end up? Besides the TV, we were talking about LED lights. Judy was joking that how could it possibly be burned out? They're not supposed to burn out. Well, they're designed intentionally to burn out because they can't sell more light bulbs if they don't burn out. Granted, the hour span is broadened, and they've increased the price per bulb to reflect the amount of technologies going in to making these LEDs work. But it's a solid state device. I mean, manufacturing should not be the reason they go out. Abuse is a good reason. Like, we have voltage spikes, we have crazy weather around here. If an LED went out because your transformer got shot by you'd expect it to go out. You expect it to burn out. But just general use, a solid state device, the reason it wears out and burns out is because they built it to do that, or they can't sell more light bulbs. And those are the kinds of things that I think we should be educating ourselves about and insisting from our corporations that build products for us. And if we don't see changes, then we force regulation that makes those changes. We're not gonna flood our market with these things.
The most important part that you said was educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Are you ready for topics?
That was the topic. We did the first topic. Scott's rant on not being able to use the TV. Well, before we go on to general topics, just a reminder, I already reminded you about the Bill of Digital Rights. Please look at it and take me seriously and pass it on to other people. Bed and breakfast is open for reservations, and I'm getting reservations daily. So if you have an interest in coming to Alaska, the windows of opportunity are closing. So please let me know as soon as possible
Good for
what kind
you.
of dates you're looking for. And again, I 10% discount. Just mention you're tied to San Carlos, and I'll give you a 10% discount. And I wanted to give a quick just summary of using QR codes for the Seguro y Sano run that we had over the weekend. And I said QR codes, but really I just wanted to let you in on the amount of stress that I had taking in this data with a program that I had tested for 2 weeks that was bulletproof. And when I pulled out the fake data and started putting real data in it, it would not work. And
Bulletproof.
right, and it is the 11th hour, right? Because there's this little tiny window where it has to work correctly because runners are coming in and data is getting handed to me, and I'm typing in the data. What I did was I removed the fake. It was working, everything. I removed the fake data, preparing to put in real data, and it gave me a blank screen, which was completely expected because there's no data in it.
Right.
And the data starts coming in. This runner, this bib number this time, this bib number this time, and on a side, I hadn't thought about how difficult it would be to use a computer outside because I live in a cave in the back of my house, and I cannot see the screen. And so by the end of it, I got my hoodie over the screen over my head. But to add insult to injury, the computer I brought with me had no backlight. So though I could see the screen, I couldn't see the keyboard. And I'm not a touch typist. I've typed since I was 11 years old, but I've never been a touch. So I'm doing this game trying to type the data in. And at the same time, I'm noticing my program is not working.
Your AI generated program. Let's be specific here.
It's not completely AI generated. There's large sections
You were so
of it
proud of the AI generation,
because I was able to do the development in hours instead of weeks. That's right.
but it didn't work.
Well, you're not letting me finish.
Okay.
You're
right ahead.
You know, you're stealing my
You just
punchline.
wanted to get it straight.
You're
Is this
stealing my punchline.
I know.
We went through all this, and he was so happy about it.
Yeah.
Well, and did I show it off? I can't remember if I showed it off to you guys.
I
Like
don't-
working on a cart with a flashlight in your mouth. We did the QR
Oh,
code.
you put one of those headbands
There you go.
on.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
had one.
I didn't bring any of that stuff with me.
Oh,
You didn't expect it.
I wasn't thinking in that. I mean, I've got a whole list of things to expect for the next time because, and there's stress around me because these people were relying on this display to work, and so they're like, we're gonna have to do it the old way. We're gonna have to get a whiteboard and start putting these numbers up. And I'm like, well, even though you're thinking about doing that and that might be the solution, you should still give me the numbers because whatever's wrong, I'm going to be able to sort out, but I may not be able to sort it out right this moment. We need all the numbers recorded. And so my wife's standing next to me yelling the numbers at me as I'm typing them in. And every moment that's just a pause, I'm over on another screen trying to debug why my computer, and it doesn't make any sense. And like keep giving me numbers in the back of my head. I'm like, maybe if I get enough data, maybe I don't have enough data in. Maybe it just does this because it doesn't know what to do with so little data. Because each one of the races has to have 3 people that win, and then all the others follow.
Right.
And so I just keep putting in data, and miraculously, it pops up and starts working.
It's
Oh
a
my
miracle.
goodness.
I'm like, this is awesome. I turn around the screen so people can see the results. We had printed out QR codes and pasted them on posts all over the venue. And so people were coming in, their times were getting put into the system. They were able to QR code and see on their phone all the results from the race so they could stick around or they could take off if they wanted to, however they wanted to do it. But it absolutely went off without a hitch in the last 30 seconds before it was going to be a phenomenal failure. There was like this 30-second window where, oh, this is all falling apart.
You of all people.
Yeah.
I'm like, this feels like the computer club. But I don't get to do this next week, right? I got to get it working now.
All right.
But I'll tell you again, the QR codes that I used, that was a challenge to find a way to do that. When I finally discovered that you can create a QR code for any web page that you can visit just by going to Edge or Chrome and having it create a QR code for you. If that's the only thing that you need a QR code for, like say you're marketing for a club like this or something, and you've got a web address and you just want to be able to have people point their phone at it and suck it up, that QR code will work just fine for you. So there's no need to get into a piece of software to make QR codes. See, I learned all this over the last 2 weeks. There are plenty of QR things going on out there that people are monetizing. Things like you can go to a website and you can type in a web address and it will give you a shortcut web address, which I would not recommend, to their service. And you can use it for free for a period of time, but then it expires. They do it intentionally so that you have a reason to buy service from them. So then you can set expiration dates on things. So there are benefits, but there's also, if, like I pre-stated, if your only goal is to have something your phone can point at and it takes you to a website, a web page that's out there, you can do that for free without getting involved in signups or subscriptions or these shortcuts which can expire when you're not paying attention. Then Edge and Chrome both have systems in it for creating a QR code. Yeah, TJ.
Can you share with the folks in reference to what those shortcut services, an example of them?
Well, I started with one called QRstuff.com. And so this is a service that will create a QR image for you of a web address. And when you follow the QR code, you go to a QRstuff.com shortened link, like a bit.ly link, if you guys have seen these before. And so what that really is it's a link into a database that keeps the actual link you want. It's a URL shortener for any other practical ways to it. They take an actual URL, they create a URL that's shorter than that and points to it. In this case, they do it so that they can control that inventory of URLs that QR codes are going to.
And the advantage of that is exactly as you said, that you can then set your QR codes to be on a time limited basis.
Yeah, you can decide if they're going to expire at some point. You could, as a paid user, you could go in and change where that shortened link goes, which is a mischievous thing to do if you're like gray or black hat or hacker, because you have the ability to change that. In fact, it actually would call into question some of those services' security, that would be a potential security risk. You can imagine hacks, well, and there are hacks out there already where people are taking those QR codes and redirecting them to malicious stuff.
Had that experience.
So there's definitely advantages and disadvantages to using that kind of service. If I wanted to get any deeper, I didn't. Because QR can be used for a lot of things. One of my most favorite QR examples, most recently, they've got an ad on Instagram where a wife's giving her husband a t-shirt that has a big QR code on the back of it. And they pull up the phone and they click it and it says, "Fuck you," on the back of it. You can't read it unless you're, but that's text. That's not a website. That's text, and you can, QR is a coding language, and so you can put all kinds of text into that QR code.
right.
It doesn't have to just be a web link. To do that kind of stuff, then I didn't find a free version of that.
You need something?
What I do see, though, is that it should be free. It should be easy. It should be a feature that's built into your word processor. Like, you should be able to press a button on Word or Google Docs, and it should generate a QR code from whatever text you have in front of you. You should be able to select text and say, turn this into a QR, because it really is fundamentally that simple. There's an engine that interprets the text and turns it into a picture there isn't a reason that we should be paying for individual QR codes or paying for a service to maintain QR codes. We're only doing that because there's this monetization effort out there. And even Microsoft, they're not bothering to put that into a word processor to make it easy for you. Nobody's asking for that. That's not a feature that people want. So that's that.
We don't know any better.
It's another one of those. But the QR code software's out there. It's open source. I don't think anybody here would take advantage of that. I personally probably would never take advantage of it, but it does lend itself to an industrial engineer type could easily add that kind of feature as a plugin to anything they're doing. And then all of a sudden you've got a QR creator. You could just, wow, I'm imagining the app now. Maybe I will build it because I can imagine a plugin for a browser where you could just select text on your screen and say make a QR code. All right.
But as a hospitality service, you wanted to provide a limited discount code, you could very easily do that.
A limited discount code, like one that points
The
to a
10%, but it's only good until April.
yeah.
So that QR code would expire.
Would expire. That's right.
And then it would revert when it expired. It would automatically redirect you to the
What-
front page of your website.
Yeah. What you're describing are the functions, the features you could take advantage of. That would be how the front end would work with people. They go to it and they would see something that says this has been expired, or you'll be passed on to whatever the latest deal is. And there'd be an administrator in the background that is using these services and making those changes because they're able to. And you're not able to do that with a static web address. Even if you had the coupon page, that page would have to be updated. Or if it disappeared, it would just be a non-directed page. You go to a QR that goes
Or if they
nowhere.
went to that page and then you did a redirect off the page.
Yeah, you would have to be administering all that stuff for it to come off nicely. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, if you have, oh my gosh, how come I have no power? I'm watching my battery die.
Well, the TV
Well, the
is
TV
off
went
too.
off too.
Well, the TV's off because we're not using it.
Well,
My battery's dying because we
it
forgot
had
to
been
turn
on.
on
It
the
had a
switch.
picture on.
It was having very
Don't blame
pretty
us,
pictures.
Jess. That's it.
It's
Blame
just the
crap for
voices in
operator
my
Jess.
head, Jim. I'm arguing with them. They need to be pushed to the back so I can keep talking. Like, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Later.
Okay, I think I got through everything that I care about. I open the table to any discussions or questions people might have. Go ahead,
I
Chrissy.
installed the Proton VP
Okay,
free version,
okay.
and all of a sudden I couldn't access my mesh or Starlink. So I disconnected it and it came back. So is there some way to go in and say allow this particular site?
You should be able to access the mesh, but what you're saying is you can't do any internet stuff. You're connected to the mesh,
Yeah, but it wouldn't,
but you won't go
Yeah,
out
it
on
won't
the
go
internet
anywhere,
for
yeah.
anything.
it was so protected.
tried
I
it.
wish Richard was here because I don't use
Yeah.
Proton VPN, and he has had some real experience
love it.
with it. Well, are you able to turn on and off the flow of data? Maybe it's something like that.
It when it connects, it using the free version.
Yeah.
And you're using random server or fastest server.
I don't know.
Go with the fastest, and it should connect up and do good for you. If it doesn't work, click it again and change servers. A lot of times, the free version will connect you to a server that is already at 100% capacity, but it squeezes you in, and you don't go anywhere.
That's true.
Jim, since you use both these services, should she expect a problem if she's got smart DNS settings manually set in her computer using the Proton
It
VPN?
doesn't do a thing.
It won't cause
No,
any
it's
issues.
just like using any other VPN.
Okay. Cool. I didn't know whether there was, I mean, because there is some like you have trouble setting your own DNS, for example, on an iPhone. Apple wants you to use their DNS.
You're talking a computer, right?
Yeah,
Right.
she's talking about a
Okay.
computer. Yeah. But that's the example I give without having extensive Proton VPN experience. Maybe the DNS, the manual DNS is causing a problem, but it sounds like it shouldn't from your experience.
It can connect you, it has a problem connecting to dead servers on the free version.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to the fastest one, it's usually pretty good. Not.
I
and
guess
then
I
you
know
can-
what the question is. Are you certain that you can use whatever DNS you want across the Proton VPN?
Yes,
Okay.
I have three different VPNs. Plus, I use the
Smart DNS proxy.
Smart DNS.
That's the only thing offhand I can think of
Yeah.
that could cause a problem. And if Jim's experience
should.
says it shouldn't cause a problem, then we have to look for
It really
something else.
shouldn't.
Maybe I mean, I would take Jim's advice. I would try connecting to other, especially under the free one, like he said. You should expect the free one to be flaky, because they're not guaranteeing you anything except the ability to try it.
Thanks.
Yeah, when you bring up the window, it's on the left side. It'll say the fastest one. Click that.
Well, I was really thinking Linda was going to join us today. She ran
She was
in.
going to bring
Gerber?
something.
Yeah, I thought she was going to bring a TV
She
and a
was.
Roku.
She was.
She was insistent on it. And now she's not even here.
If anybody sees Cesar lurking around, I would really like some more coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Jonathan's at home. Hello, Jonathan. I don't know if you're listening to us or not. I'm sorry you're having health issues, but
Oh, bummer.
he should be back next week, I'm sure.
Yeah. Nice job painting the crosswalk or the walkway
Was that him?
right out in front. The
Yeah.
sidewalk. Nice job painting.
Oh,
it.
yeah. I was afraid it was wet.
There we go. So do we have any other topics more interesting than anything I might have brought with me? No, nobody's got. Yeah. Oh, TJ, what do you got?
Elon Musk for OpenAI.
What's the topic? Did you see all the AI regulation that's come down in the EU right now? This was, I mean, just like a couple of days ago. They had put the legislation in place to start just a couple of days ago. It might be. I mean, I haven't read through all of it, and so what I've heard from critics, and I do need to pay more attention to it, is that this may be an example of an overreach in regulation that is not going to help any of our situations. And I've heard that criticism from very intelligent people that work in security. They're aware of social media issues, and they're the kinds of people that are in favor of the other privacy issues that have gone in the European Union, but they're concerned that this may hurt the industry in a way, or no, hurt us from this industry in a way that we're not imagining. And that's where I get lost in the fuzziness of this topic. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I got to learn more about what's going on. You know, a lot of the privacy protections that we have right now are because these companies have to be compliant with European law.
That's my shirt. The pink
What? Oh,
Hey, Cheryl's joined us.
great.
I'm sorry you guys can't see her smiling face, but she's waving to all of us. People can hear you when you talk, Cheryl, but we're having trouble with the TV monitor today. We can't find the remote control. They had a Super Bowl party, and it's just the aftermath.
Understandable. Good morning, everybody.
morning.
Morning, Cheryl.
So, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's where the yeah, with all the new AI regulations that are coming down, it'll be interesting to see how it affects us. My point being that most of our regulations that are providing us with protection is not happening in the United States, it's happening in Europe. These companies have to be compliant to Europe, and it's cheaper for them to be compliant to everyone. In a very American capitalistic way. it's if it's good for business, that's my whole theme today. Make your needs good for their business.
Right.
Who is they?
The manufacturers and
Oh.
products of these services that we've been
Yeah,
using.
great.
Yeah, it's that old adage: vote with your dollars. Make sure that you're not buying anything that isn't meeting your needs.
Which we don't always know what those needs are.
Exactly.
That is the $64 question.
Well, I'll give you an example of an investment that I'm disappointed with and very happy with at the same time. I upgraded our speakers in my living room. We have a Fire Stick, which works great, Fire Stick Max. I might have told you guys about this already. I went ahead and got a hold of two Echo Studio speakers. These are the high quality, like to replace a sound bar and surround speakers. These really high quality Amazon speakers, and they're at fairly low prices for what they are mechanically. And I bought them actually in Mexico because they were $50 cheaper in Mexico than they were in the United States. Get ready for more of that stuff to be happening.
Yeah, it's true.
A beautiful feature of this setup, a Fire Stick, a couple of these speakers married together, is that you can plug the Fire Stick into a particular port in the TV. I think it's called an ARC port, that allows it to receive audio from all the other ports in the TV. So by adding this combination to my system, not only do I have this like deep bass surround sound, great audio experience, but that experience isn't only for the Fire Stick, but every device that's plugged into the TV. So even my old school video game consoles from 20 years ago, their audio is going through these wireless speakers. It's an amazing feature. It's beautiful. And then they are used for music in the smart speaker sense of the word, where you ask Amazon to play music for you, and all three devices will come to life, and you'll see a presentation on the screen of what you're listening to, album art, you'll see where you are in the track. It'll be, the amazing product. Very happy with the mechanics of what that is. But then we have internet problems, and the speakers get flaky. Not that speakers need to be connected to the internet to make sound, but these do, because they're Amazon Echoes. Right? And here's this investment, like these speakers were they run for about $200 a piece. I got them for about $150 a piece. They do this software where they recognize the acoustics of the room
I told him.
and adjust for the best home audio
Maybe he's making
experience given those acoustics. So they send out sounds to each other and dial each other in. So the correct proportional volume for effects and audio and music and talking. It's all adjusted through an algorithm. They also have an optical connection. When you use the optical connection, you can use the speaker. You can use one speaker. You can't, it's got all this wire. When you marry these three devices together, they create their own Wi-Fi network, and they transmit audio that's how it keeps it synchronized. They've got their own special Wi-Fi network. But if you use the optical, you don't get to use any of that hardware.
Nick uses the optical for his headset.
Okay. Well, what would be a great idea would be, why not have those two speakers married to each other regardless of how the sound gets into it? So I could plug the optical into one and expect music to come out of the other. But instead, there's a whole gray market of people out there buying optical splitters so that they can run one optical wire to a splitter and split it off into two of these speakers. And no, it doesn't synchronize with nice stereo. It's
Oh.
just the same audio coming out of two different speakers,
Yeah.
That's bad.
right? It's just mono. It's mono and two speakers. And so I look at that product and I go, no, that's all wrong. I wish I had understood all that when I got into this product. I wouldn't recommend this product. Even though I had a whole bunch of family last night, we were listening to music, Mexican way, loud. The speakers aren't cracking, they aren't crumbling, they're playing all the music you want to hear. The whole house is full of music. Sounds beautiful. It sounds like a concert. It doesn't sound like somebody cranked up their Bluetooth speaker all the way. It really sounds impressive. I still, if somebody said, "What is this?" I'm like, you wouldn't want to buy it. You don't want all the downsides that come with owning this product.
So you can't return it. It's outside the window.
Well, yeah, that's it is. It's just outside the window. Yeah. Well, and it's a value proposition where they've got me still. I mean, I've already got them. They're already set up. They're working and making the sound I want. I may have these disappointments, but if I had had them before I had even bought them, I wouldn't have bought them. Now that they're all in place and everything's working, and like to take them away is much more painful and difficult. I do worry about one of the biggest cons in the whole smart speaker story is you are putting microphones all over your house. And microphones that intrinsically have to always be listening to you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's too bad we don't live in a utopia where you don't have to worry about that data being abused, but they've made it very clear that data like that's getting abused all the time.
And you
I
don't
don't
worry
even have
about
my-
your Alexa speakers.
That's what I'm talking about, Judy.
know.
Keep up.
I am keeping up.
Keep up.
But
That's
we
exactly
have to
what
go
I'm
back to
talking
the very
about.
beginning of the Alexa speaker, and it's like you people that are putting them everywhere, you're putting yourself at risk.
I don't even have my washing machine set up to be
No.
wireless.
Yeah, you're lucky it works.
But no problems.
Everything about it's great, but I have to sign up for a subscription spin cycle.
Oh, that
My dishwasher is working too, so. Although the dishwasher here, I wish I'd known this sooner, it just starts on its own.
Start?
Just starts. I go,
Really?
Nick, did you turn the dish? No, I didn't touch it. So I went online after 2 years, well, actually 19, and it says either the control board or the panel
The
is
button panel.
defective.
Yeah.
wow.
And Marcus was out, and he said, I don't know what's wrong with it. So I unplug it, and I sent Maytag a complaint or email.
I'm having an issue with my brand new Maytag dishwasher that I was so happy with. The bottom wand is not spinning at full pressure.
Well, take care of it before your warranty expires.
Well, the warranty, it's a 10-year warranty.
Only
That's-
on the tub and certain things.
Oh, well,
I
and
thought so,
and
too.
it's all in the States. I brought it down
Oh,
from the
yeah.
States.
Well,
So
that's a problem.
that's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, my Maytag in New Mexico died after 5 years, and I just got an LG. Nick says it's got a 10-year warranty. I said, yeah, read the fine print.
Yes.
Well, have we got other topics? I did bring some news articles I thought were entertaining. And because I thought that Linda was joining us, I put in here an AI teaches topic because I was looking for information on Roku because she was interested in Roku. And I've been talking about VPNs, and I wanted to make sure nothing had changed recently. And most definitively, you cannot install a VPN on a Roku the way you can install on a Fire Stick, and nothing about that has changed. So if you've got a Roku that you want to make a stateside Roku, you are going to have a hardware VPN in front of that for it to work. Either a hardware VPN or you could use Smart DNS Proxy, but then you need to have a hardware router that you could change the DNS in, because you cannot change the DNS in a Roku. The flip side of that is Roku's in Mexico. There's a huge huge content base of Mexican or Latin American Roku stuff. And if you sign up for a Latin American Roku account, it doesn't look any different than an American account, except you get a catalog of what's available in Latin America. Your Roku from the States gets a state-based catalog, which does not necessarily mean any of those particular apps will work if you don't have a VPN. Say again? Or get a Fire Stick. My recommendation is a Fire Stick. All this ranting about Amazon's products and data tracking, and they have, I mean, there's a reason they have one of the best streaming products out there. It's because they make their money
They
off
listen
of
to
the
you while you're
data.
talking to yourself in the house.
That's right. They know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Or
That's
just get a
it.
smart
Thought
TV.
control.
no?
I don't use Alexa.
Well, yeah, but you know, that's the TVs are they're actually one of the biggest data brokers there are right now. TVs and automobile manufacturers are making the most money off of selling your data, and they're not even autonomizing it. They're selling your data with some vague like whiff of making it anonymous. But it's very easy to unanonymize it because of the style of the
He's
data.
making up words.
Yes, unanonymous.
Unanonymized. Yeah, well, I don't know how to refer to that.
That's probably
But it's
a good
been,
one.
it's been proven that it can be done. And we don't have any regulations protecting the individual from the sale of data brokers. And so things like bounty hunters and, these people can just go to a data broker and buy information. They can buy information by name, by phone number. They can buy it by location. Yeah.
Your pet's
Well,
name.
actually, I think Social Security number is one of the few things you wouldn't be able to buy it, but it would be in the collection. Because I think we do have laws on how the Social Security number is able to be handed out. Being stored is one thing, but providing it to individuals is another thing, and I think we have a law that doesn't allow that. What's that?
Watch out for Musk.
Watch out for Musk. Yeah, well, and that's an interesting idea too. TJ, was it you that brought up Elon Musk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Made
Made an offer for 970
For what?
For what?
OpenAI.
to buy OpenAI?
Yeah. Same offer. And
That's wild, especially after DeepSeek. You'd think they'd be looking for a number like that because they know what they've got is at the peak of its value right now.
Give or take a trip.
Well, the fire in LA, one of the houses had 60 offers on it, and they accepted one over $1 million, buying an empty burned out lot. It would be good for the owner and on his insurance.
Wow. Yeah.
Must have been a good lot.
Yes.
Cheryl, I'm putting you on mute because you're just typing away.
Kind of, what's that old saying, a billion here, a billion there, pretty soon you start talking real money.
$1, $2.
I wonder if one of these ridiculous tech billionaires, instead of buying OpenAI, were to take all that money and just start buying up lots that were devastated by the fire, just
Cleaning them
giving people fair price for just so they can get out, they can move on with their life, and they'd own that whole huge parcel. They could do whatever they want with it. They could make their own utopia right there.
Well, they've got enough money, they could do that. It wouldn't hurt them.
Actually, Gavin Newsom had railed against that concept.
Oh, he did. It's
But if it's a
interesting to
fair
think
offer.
about. That was an issue with the Hawaiian fires too, wasn't it? And then they rallied against somebody doing that. I mean, the last thing they wanted to do was the shift.
Because you're meeting people at their most
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
emotionally
Yeah.
vulnerable times.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Well, fortunately, I'm not here to fix that problem.
Yeah. I'm not going to make an offer.
I did bring 3 news articles that I thought were interesting and worth our time. The first one on here is from ZDNet, and if you get it's a deep article into the malware that we are being exposed to on our mobile devices these days, and goes into the definition of what zero-click hacking is. Oh wow, TJ.
Okay, you okay? Oh my God. Whoa, you okay? Their chair. You hit anything vital? Oh, look at that. My pride. Wow, it just crumbled under you. It did. Look at guy, yeah. Hey, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah. Yeah, your pride is right.
Been here while you stack two of them together.
How about a pair of glasses?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the glasses didn't break.
I'm glad to help.
What happened? Cheryl, what happened?
We're all very happy that you're okay. Definitely not your fault.
Is there an attorney in the house?
Cesar, you got a problem. Oh, man. Oh,
The Takati ones are.
One of these chairs.
Don't be saying I need to go on a diet.
No, you just need to go on 2 chairs.
I'm dropping 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Use one of these chairs with the squared back. They're stronger than those plastic ones.
Thank you, sir.
This one on this end.
That one was obviously sun damaged. You see, you got out of a pile of plastic dust.
Yeah.
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 Turn lights.
Well, for anybody that's paying attention, sorry for that interruption.
Those don't. Oh, it does fit.
Yeah, I like that because it's kind of low here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that was exciting.
Look at the dust from it.
I
Wow.
know, I saw that.
Wow.
No, that's crazy how it just pulverized the chair.
Literally.
And
obviously.
the water probably has plastic dust in it.
Oh,
As
good
our
point.
brains do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
all
right.
Held it on.
Yeah, water may have.
We all just got our daily dose of microplastics.
Yeah. Oh, poor guy. Hey. Yeah.
You good,
Oh,
TJ?
sure.
Yeah.
They're all worried about the dog.
Oh, well, they're not very Mexican, are they?
It scared them.
He's
Yeah, I
great.
bet it did.
Scared him.
Because for us guys, the word scare and scary, that's a girl word.
Yeah, right.
And you're
Word
the lesser
dangerous
for it.
exists for us.
All right, I'm going back to this. This is an article from ZDNet, and what you should take away from it if you don't read any of this is it's considered by security experts to be good hygiene to turn off your device and turn it back on every day.
Yeah.
I read
At
that.
least once a week, yeah, I've read that.
Yeah. So do you guys all know how to power your device off? I'm not talking about just blinking the screen. Just to make sure.
Or any device.
Well, the devices that you use, are you very
Siri.
familiar with how to turn them off so they're not
Siri.
using electricity?
Siri, turn off
Oh, yeah.
my blah blah blah.
Will Siri turn off your iPhone? That's interesting. I
Well, I
gotta try
think
that
it will.
right
It
now.
turns off my iPad.
Well, that's interesting.
Turn off my phone.
Now, Scott, what's the difference?
Oh, it puts the off button right in
Yeah.
front of me. Look at that.
What is
Yeah.
the difference between restarting and stopping and then repowering
It's
in
different.
regards to software and
Well,
operating systems?
yeah, like for the iPhone, there is no restart. You turn it off and then you turn it back on.
Right.
I can't remember on Android's latest version.
There's a restart.
There's
Yeah,
a
there's a
restart.
restart.
Yeah.
Is there any difference in regards to what happens internally regarding the operating system if I turn it off or if I restart?
Okay, so in the platforms that I'm familiar with, the only one that does have a difference is the Windows platform. And that changed with Windows 8. Up until Windows 8, any change that you didn't feel like was taking place, you would shut it down to cold, or you're having a problem, you'd shut it down to cold, You let it sit for 10 seconds, you turn it back on, and you had a fresh computer. And at the advent of Windows 8, they reversed that paradigm. And so
shutting down.
all right, who's got
All right, who's got their mic on? Jim, you got your mic on.
I do.
I don't.
You're right. Sorry about that.
so they changed that
I
paradigm.
rebooted the computer.
There you go. Yeah. And if you shut it down, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, it would go into a save state where whatever you left it with would be what you would come back to. And the only way to flush out what was in memory was to do the restart. And it was very difficult for us all to change our behavior. And
Now to do a restart or to shut it down.
You can do
that's
both
what I'm saying.
A restart doesn't save it all?
on Windows.
Oh, on Windows.
Yeah, on Windows is what we're talking about. It's the only platform. TJ's question was, what's the
Yeah, I
difference
know.
between a restart and a shutdown? And in all the platforms I'm experienced with, Windows is the only one that has a unique difference. Now, there are like product differences, like a Samsung versus a Asus versus an iPhone. These manufactured, even down to the model, may behave differently because the hardware is behaving differently. If you don't release the electricity from that hardware, it may be having a problem. But as far as the operating system goes, up until Windows 8, you would power down the computer and the operating system is off. Everything the computer knew is out of it. And when you turn it back on, you're starting up that computer fresh, brand new. Every setting is having to be loaded again. Anything that's supposed to change is changing in that moment as it's coming on. After Windows 8, that did not happen when you shut down a computer. And actually 8, 10, and 11 won't behave the way I'm describing in older hardware. It was the new hardware going forward that would respect this. And so you would do a shutdown, and it was a fast shutdown. And it would save things to memory so it could do a fast startup. And so if you were hoping for a change or your computer was acting goofy and your goal was to get it to refresh, for lack of a better word, then since Windows 8, you would have to choose restart. And then based on your hardware, which is no longer, all the hardware now works this way, but at the time, in this transitional period, you might have to restart the computer and then shut it down so that the hardware would lose its electricity and the computer and Windows would lose its saved settings. So you would actually, in that transitional period where you're running computer that's equipment that's not quite compatible with this paradigm, you'd have to work even harder to make sure, as a troubleshooter, you had gotten all these variables out of the question. And that was restarting it and shutting it down and restarting it. Now that's no longer the case with Windows. Macintosh remembers the second it lost power. It is amazing using a Macintosh computer. If all of a sudden you pull the power plug on it, and Judy probably doesn't have that experience because you got laptops, but I got a Mac Mini, and I can have all these things going, 6 desktops, all these different apps running, and then the power goes out. I don't have it on a battery. It crashes. Power comes back on. It turns on. I sign in, and I watch every one of my apps turn back on. And it puts me right where I was when it's the journaling file system of Macintosh.
And now, see, I think my MacBook does that.
Yeah, well, when you restart.
Well, no, when I shut down, not restart, because it has a restart too.
Well, yeah, shut down or restart. The Mac has a feature that you can checkbox to bring you back to where you were. I am, however, talking about a different situation where the power is just pulled.
Yeah.
And it just crashes. Because the Mac is intimately every moment remembering everything you're doing so that you can go right back to where you were if you've lost power.
I thought it was interesting.
Hey, that's very appropriate with my last statement. When you've lost power.
This time when I shut down, it asked for my password to shut down. And that's not happened before.
Say again.
When I shut down the phone,
Yeah.
it asks for my password code before it would shut down.
Oh, that's wild. That's an
Yeah.
Android device.
Yeah,
Huh.
must be an updated software version because that hasn't happened before.
I did just have an update on the iPad.
Yeah, those two wouldn't be related to each
No.
other. But you're talking about like a core operating system kind of thing that we normally don't think of as coming through updates for an Android device. Well, is yours a Samsung?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Which one?
Samsung is one of the ones that would be putting. You might just check and see how up to date your operating system is. I would look and see if the date of update or even the update is within the last couple of weeks. Then you might assume you got an update that installed itself and this is a new feature that you probably have control over. But if your last update is nowhere near this time period, I'd be a little suspicious by what's going on.
Oh, no.
Like what we've learned in the last few weeks about the malware that's showing up on mobile devices, both iPhones and Androids, it would be in the malware's best interest to make it as difficult as possible to restart the phone. And that's what this article gets into, is how much of the malware that's out there for mobile devices are sitting in memory. They're not on files on your computer. They typically couldn't get that kind of access on their own, but they could just come right in off of a web page. In fact, this article talks about, it's not a web page, a compromised system of displaying things like graphics and PDF files. The most recent one, the one that's describing, actually came across WhatsApp. The WhatsApp feature, when you were sent a PDF, the interpretation of the PDF had a flaw in its security, which opened up a security hole into the entire device. So,
And is that fixed?
yeah, I think that was just fixed with a WhatsApp update. But that's really significant because nothing about that should have given access, because all the data in WhatsApp's encrypted. But at that point, that is on the other side of that encryption. When you were able to receive, from what I understood, from what I read, is that you could be receiving a PDF without request. The WhatsApp system has a way of previewing the PDF, like to put it in kind of a preview mode as part of its feature set. Does that just because it's being friendly and being nice with you guys, making it easy before you open it up. And it's the preview system that was compromised. And so that represents something you had it's called a zero-click vulnerability. You have no control over that. The only thing you could do is just choose not to use WhatsApp and wait for the next app that you're not supposed to use.
So as a consumer,
Oh, but to finish that, just to finish that vulnerability can be resolved simply by restarting the computer, because the entire vulnerability resides in active memory. None of it resides as files. Yeah, as files in your
so
computer.
as a consumer, especially for really good people, but folks who may not be as tech savvy as you are, or some of the folks here, what can a consumer do?
Oh, our meeting just died.
I was just gonna say it's.
I hope everybody else has meeting 2 codes. Sorry, TJ, go ahead.
What can a consumer do? What best practices and or recommended services can a consumer use to help protect themselves
from invasions, or if they do have malware, what is the best?
in reference to helping clear their system, whether it be a phone, whether it be a laptop, whether it be a desktop?
Well, I think those are good questions. I'm not going to recommend a particular product because I haven't vetted a particular product. But if you do read this article, one of the security experts they're talking to is from one of those companies. And he describes their own product as being able to find these kinds of threats. And so I'm not promoting anything that I haven't used myself, but there's a starting point if you're looking for something. My attitude towards scanning and virus scanning software up until recently on a mobile device, I've not been concerned about it. I do think that the shift in the regulations in the European Union about gatekeeping the apps that can be put on an iPhone, I think it is going to blow up the security of Apple. We're going to have to think of the Apple devices as being less secure,
vulnerable, possibly
more vulnerable than they have been in the past, because we were really protected by that walled garden. They really did have fleets of people out there vetting these apps and trying to get out the bad apps. The moment you decide to let your device load up apps from a place of questionable intent, you've opened up the vulnerability of the entire device. And if you come from an Android world, which I do as well, that's not saying much. Or a Windows world. We've been doing that since the beginning. All right, well, but the problem with the phone is that it's your whole life. It's your digital persona. And so, I mean, your Windows PC being compromised is nowhere near as dangerous as your mobile device being compromised.
And for a large percentage of, whether it be Americans, and especially here in Mexico, a large percentage of individuals, their internet access is a mobile device.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now when we start getting into two-factor authentication, or we're looking at these devices as our keys to let us into not only digital things, but physical things as well, getting into houses, getting into cars. So a compromise on that device. So I think we're gonna have some major flip right now. Bye, Judy.
Bye.
I think we're going to have a major cultural shift in this, and it's going to start with the techs. Or we're going to be supporting antivirus on phones. We're going to have a movement and then we're going to see it go back to the operating systems, I'm sure, because that's what's happened in the desktop environment. Is they open it up to third parties. We had vulnerabilities that need to be fixed. That organizations, actually, they were under regulation to keep competitive, so they didn't do their own antivirus. They required Nortons and McAfee's to do those kinds of jobs. And then we reached a point of sophistication where the entire industry is like, why are we letting these third parties in these vulnerable situations? Our operating system deserves to be secure right from the beginning, and the people that make it should be the ones making sure it's secure. And so now we've got antivirus built right into our operating systems. We don't have that in our mobile devices so much, because they've relied on the obscurity of those operating systems and the security of those much more secure operating systems than desktops started out to be. The mobile devices started out with more security than the desktops did. But I suspect we'll see the same progression, probably starting this year. There'll be pushes to get things like Nortons and whatnot into your mobile devices to offer you protection. And then within a few years, there'll be pushes to get them out because the operating system's doing those jobs for you. But this is the time. I don't think we're going to be running around with naked devices much longer.
And the beauty of Norton subscriptions and so forth is that it allows you a number of devices so that you can.
Yeah, that whole. Yeah, you're right.
So you're gaining value at that point.
Well, that whole model and the way that they've handled that offers up a whole feature set of things that you can do, like managing your devices all in one place, one price for protection everywhere.
Driver updates becomes an entire office or personal suite.
Yeah.
Available.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, though, I think we've got a better model now with Microsoft just handling it all. Outside of the corporation is one of the few places where I still think third-party software makes sense, because they can focus on things that are valuable to maintaining hundreds of computers at one time. And Microsoft And Microsoft actually has an offering for that kind of stuff too.
Enterprise.
Yeah. For the enterprise, but it's competitive with the other feature sets of a Norton's or a McAfee's. Different from the consumer level stuff. I brought 2 other topics I thought would be interesting. You guys can read them on your own if you haven't already read them. Did you pay attention to the T-Mobile announcement, which got misinterpreted as an iPhone announcement? They are pairing with Starlink to provide texting services in all the dead zones that Starlink might be covering that T-Mobile is not. And they're taking it as a messaging platform. This is what I read when I read the articles about this. What kept popping in my mind is T-Mobile wants to be WhatsApp. That's what they're doing. They've created their own messenger that runs across their network as well as Starlink, which is compatible with phones. My iPhone won't do it. Sid's brand new one will, because he's got the satellite antenna. It's been sending emergency text messages up to the sky like this. Right? The Starlink network will allow you to do it like this, just like you do any other phone texting activity. And they will grow it into video, audio, documents, just like we've got with any other sophisticated messenger. But it's a T-Mobile messenger. And it's free for trial right now for anybody. You don't have to be a T-Mobile customer.
Right.
It's going to be $15 to people that have a basic T-Mobile. They can add this kind of access to their device. This messenger, not data for all your other apps, but this messenger available through SpaceX or through Starlink. The new T-Mobile messenger. Have you been hearing about this?
No.
So they're offering this up. It's free right now. Anybody can try it. You don't have to be a T-Mobile customer. If you get into the beta trial right now, and it is kind of like a lottery. What they're proposing, they're going to limit who has access to it. So it will saturate, and then people won't be able to get this service. We'll see. We'll see if that's marketing or if that's actually load balancing. Only time will tell. But if you get into the beta trial of it, then when it goes hot, you won't pay $15 a month, you'll pay $10 a month. If you're already a T-Mobile person. You can try it right now, not being a T-Mobile, for free. It's open to everybody right now, if they let you do it, but it's open to everybody. If you're not on T-Mobile and you want to have this service available to you, it's $20 a month. So if you've got AT&T service, but you're going out in the wilds of who knows where, and you want to be able to have constant communication available to you, you could pick up a T-Mobile Messenger contract for $20 a month, add it to whatever you're doing, and now your phone, as long as your hardware supports the satellite linkage. And this is the progression I was really expecting when they announced emergency messages through satellite originally with Apple. I knew this was the path to their own phone system. And I'm not going to be surprised at all if 6 months from now or a year from now, we hear about a deal between Apple and Starlink. And Apple has its own phone service, and it's just an add-on to your iCloud service for an additional $15 a month. And you can use your phone anywhere there's a Starlink.
So then you only need T-Mobile or AT&T.
That's right. That's right. And I think that Apple could have done this right from the beginning. I mean, they haven't said they're going to do this. I'm saying they're going to do this. They're strategically not saying that they're doing this. They're strategically partnering. They're not even partnering with Star. They're letting T-Mobile do this. Right? They're saying, yeah, our phones can do it, but we're not setting up that deal.
We'll get there.
Because they don't want to be stopped when they finally get there. It's going to catch everybody by surprise. T-Mobile, AT&T, they're going to be like, wait, what do you mean Apple is a phone network now?
Yeah.
Well,
They're
you're
not
talking about with
stupid.
Starlink, we're doing right now at work. The cell service where we're working on this bridge is just so incredibly poor. We've got The foreman's truck has got a Starlink antenna on it and Wi-Fi. You can park next to him. I know, I talk to the guy every day because he's got Wi-Fi. Our surveyor's got the same setup, and they run all their equipment off of it, and they do Wi-Fi calling through the Starlink.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Both Telcel and AT&T, I both service. Both of them support Wi-Fi calling, and so often I'm walking out of the house talking to somebody on my phone, not even thinking about it, and I step away from the range of my Wi-Fi, and my call gets dropped. I'm like, oh, that was a Wi-Fi call. Well, these would be direct connections to the Starlink. Mitigating the need for Wi-Fi. It would just go through the antenna like you have in your new phone.
I have a question.
Sure.
You had recommended a wireless keyboard so that when I'm entering passwords on the TV, is that Bluetooth? How do I hook up?
Yeah, well, okay, so the reason I would have recommended a keyboard would be because it has, for the living room, pardon me, for the living room, is because one, it would be a 2-in-1. It would have a keyboard on one side and a touchpad on the other. It would be all in one device. It would have a backlight so that you can see the keys in the living room as you're watching
easier
content.
than using the remote to go ABC.
And I like getting one that's close to a full-size keyboard. I don't like the little mini keyboards.
Well, I have it, but I can't figure out how to use it.
And it has to be Bluetooth.
Yeah.
So if it's not Bluetooth, it probably not going to work.
Well, it used to work.
It did.
And I just haven't used it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I recharged it.
So you probably just need to
mirror, yeah.
repair it with
Right.
your TV or whatever device you're using it with. Is it the Fire Stick you're using it with?
No, Roku and Sharp is the TV.
Okay. Yeah, Roku. You'd have to choose one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the Roku, you go into the Bluetooth settings there to connect anything. Or if it's an older Roku, it might have a USB port on it, and you could put a dongle on it.
Yeah.
But that's how you would get that to where it should. Oh, and let me say, anybody that's fighting with a keyboard, you should not be fighting with a keyboard. They should just work. When you plug in the dongle, it should just work.
I don't have a dongle, so I don't know.
Well, when you connect with Bluetooth successfully,
Yeah,
it should just work.
Should just work.
Yeah, you shouldn't be fighting with it. There isn't any special settings or anything. These things have been very simple devices for years, and so there's.
Well, I've changed Roku's, so that's probably why.
That's probably
I need to
it.
repair it.
Yeah, you need to go into the Bluetooth settings and look for it and get it paired up again.
Okay.
Your
Make sure it's
keyboard.
turned on.
Yeah, I did. Green light was on.
No,
Well,
the Bluetooth settings
Oh.
in the device.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I was gonna say that the Bluetooth keyboards in my life won't pair unless you put it in a Bluetooth mode. So the ones that I have, even though I'm not using a dongle, even though I haven't set it up on anything, if I turn it on and it's been connected to something before, it won't connect to something new unless I put it in a connect mode. On mine are these Logitech 830 keyboards, and you have to hold down a function key and press a button that has a Bluetooth icon on it, and that makes the indicator light flash rapidly, and that's how you know it's in pairing.
Okay, another project.
Have a good one.
take it easy.
Take care, guys.
As these two, Kristen and Jim, have already noticed, we have reached the end of our meeting.
I think we have.
I do have one more article that I could bring up that I thought that Christine would find funny, but she's not here anymore. This, I don't know if you've seen it, but on Instagram, twice now, I've seen this meme go by talking about clams that are making decisions for water treatment plants in Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought this looks like bullshit. The clam that they show in these pictures has a glue gun and a spring connected to it. And I'm like, no, this deserves some more research. And so I went out on the internet and I started looking for some articles on this. I found a really well-founded article on this actual thing happening in Warsaw. And they've got clams out in this bed of clams. They're using clams to help clean the water in the first place. But what I didn't know was when the water is too contaminated, the clams clam up to protect themselves.
No
And
pun intended.
this action is the indicator that water should stop flowing to the recipients because it has gotten too toxic to send to the people that are going to receive it. And so they have attached micro switches to clams across these beds. And when they clam up, they shut down the flow of water into those areas and give the treatment center time to explore where the contamination is coming from so that they can go and clean it up before sending it into their system.
Well, in Chesapeake Bay, they had a manual system like that. They'd go out to the oyster docks, and if as the tide's flowing out or in, they'd look down and watch the oysters. If they're not opening, something's wrong.
I think
Bad
this
thing.
is
And then they knew it was too dirty.
this is an amazing mix of organic and digital technology coming
Sounds like
together.
my ex-wife.
What?
It's like my ex-wife doesn't.
The organic and digital technology mixing together?
No,
No,
That's
no.
more like
Shutting down.
toxicity causing it to open.
I'm sorry.
That's more like toxicity causing it to open.
Oh, really?
Well, I just thought this was an amazing use of both digital and organic. I mean, these are very intelligent organic devices. It's rudimentary, but it's totally effective. I just,
Yeah, you could have.
you got to be
flash
impressed
forward
by it.
50 years, just imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we could be genetically engineering clam switches.
Sure, you just need to, whatever they're using to detect.
Yeah.
That's
You need
right.
That, got it.
Well, and you
you're
don't
putting
have
these
to
poor clams out of
replicate
work.
it. You just have to grow it, and then in
Yeah,
the
they even
correct
have clams
environment.
for
I mean, even to begin with,
phosphorus.
I can see these harness canisters like Raspberry Pi boxes that you'd stick a clam in and throw it out there, and it's your micro switch for checking the contamination of the water that's coming to you. You know, a Wi-Fi device. So actually, Wi-Fi doesn't work very well underwater, but you could come up with something. You have a floaty to the surface that's running a cable. Anyway, I thought that, and there's a nice video on it as well. So there's a guy that talks about the whole situation there in Warsaw.
Look at that.
It's totally worth checking out. And that's the end of what I have brought today. And I don't have any recommendations. You guys,
I do.
yeah? What do you got to recommend, City?
We've watched Sky Network miniseries called Lockerbie.
Oh, that's right. That
It
was
starts with the plane falling out of the air.
Right.
But it follows Jim Swires, the head of the UK families on Flight 103. It follows him from sending his daughter to the airport all the way to the guy who got convicted dying of cancer and in Libya.
Well, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
followed him 20 years. We followed this guy's
Over
flight
20 years,
to.
yeah.
It seems like
I mean,
it wasn't.
It went right up to the fall of Libya, or just past that.
Whoa.
All-
It showed his meetings with Gaddafi, him calling people he knew in the government, saying, "Hey, this is bullshit." There's a lot of excitement in the first like 20 minutes, and then it slows way the hell down. But that slows way the hell down is really interesting.
Yeah, it was a 5-part BBC series.
Skynet or Sky.
Oh, Skynet. You're right, Sky TV. But done in that kind of style that BBC always does, where like
British
each episode's like its own movie, and it follows this character as he tries to get justice for his and you know
And it's all based off his book.
what was interesting for me is I only have vague information about that experience. I was in my mid-20s when it happened and wasn't paying much attention. Well, when did it happen? It happened in 88. I was in my late teens. I was 18 years old. And I wasn't paying any attention. And so people would reference it through pop culture throughout the years. And I didn't really have any real details of it. I knew it was a plane that went down. But the first episode of this show is
Yeah.
the explosion over
Oh, the
Lockerbie.
two cops sitting there, the
And-
aircraft parts start falling.
These parts are falling on this community, and the effects they use are just jarring. Like, huge motor just plummets into the earth and impales itself in the dirt right next to people.
Landing,
So,
you're
boom,
falling
boom,
into the ice.
boom.
Yeah.
Large neighborhoods catching on fire because the gas has just exploded all over, right? There was 11 people that died, as well as the 272 people up in the air. There's
Because of
11 people on
falling
the ground that
debris.
died. Yeah. Just the debris falling on them. Which is very interesting for me, and I think people like Sid, because we grew up in, we have airplanes everywhere in Alaska. Planes fall
We
out
just
of the
had-
sky.
We just had one fall out of the sky. And they really need to just
Yeah, right,
let the local reporters that know how to pronounce shit do the story.
10 people on board, right?
I through like second and third relations, I actually know a couple of those people.
Ooh.
When we were in university, we had a plane falling apart over Anchorage, and parts were falling in the neighborhood that I was living. My roommate and I were expecting to come home and quite possibly find a hole in our roof or
Right.
parts on the yard.
Or our buddy Neil found a chunk off the engine housing laying right across the street from his place.
Yeah.
So to see how much devastation this plane blowing up above a community could do was just amazing.
Well, you got me interested. I would watch.
Oh no, Locker.
We caught it on Streamio, didn't we?
Yeah, I forgot. No, we saw
Yeah,
some blurb off of It's on Peacock.
It's on
But we
Peacock,
got
but
it
we
on
got it off
The
Streamio.
only thing I ever watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we saw it on anything but Streamio. I was just
The only reason we have Netflix and Disney is our grandchildren use our account. Easy.
So you buy it for your kids, get a grandkid.
I'll be damned if I'm going to pay for Netflix and then pay for or have to watch advertising.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
oh, we're doing that right now with Prime though.
Well, I don't watch Prime either.
I
So
make
it
my
is
Prime
Lockerbie,
membership back.
the search for truth.
I make my Prime membership.
Lockerbie, the search for
That's where
truth.
we do it.
Yes, and it is the
And
2025. It's
CNN's
brand new.
got a special on Lockerbie.
Say again.
CNN has a special on Lockerbie that's starting, I think, this coming Sunday, or it may have started yesterday. I mean, this past Sunday. I'm not sure.
Sorry, we broke the rules.
I'll have to check that.
They're like the joke has made the rules.
Well, that'll be. I bet it's influenced by this having. This just came out a little while ago. It could be regenerating interest in that history. Of course, we got a lot of Middle East stuff going on right now, so it could be that's regenerated interest in the Lockerbie incident. It was amazing how deep this guy got into this stuff. Like Sid said, he was meeting with Gaddafi at one point.
Yeah.
His father, this surgeon, retired surgeon, who has no political experience, has gotten so deeply involved in investigating for the justice of his child, he ends up in a meeting with Gaddafi.
Whoa.
Well, thank you, TJ. We'll make sure Tequilas appreciates it.
He did break the chair.
You don't have to pay for the chair. They
You-
just
yeah, you
fall
don't have to pay
apart
for the
and
chair.
Beer company gives them more chairs. You notice every one of these
If
things
I
they
paid for
got
the breakfast, I should get the chair for free.
That's right. They threw in the chair with breakfast. That's how much they like you.
It's a good dog.
I think you're lucky you didn't get a plastic shim up your ass.
Right up
Plastic shim up your ass.
Well, I mean, the way it just
Everything-
crumbled
yeah,
underneath you, right? Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah, it's happened to all of us.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
happens.
No, I've had those chairs crumble under me
Oh,
before.
no, he's got
Usually
his
on the
doubled
deck.
up too.
I'm sorry.
Not so
He's
much
got
in
his
here.
doubled up too.
Of course, I do it for the inches. Don't tell the women, but that's how I add 2 more
I
inches.
really didn't need to know. It was a little bit.
All right. This is deteriorating.
Alright.
It's now become guy net, so
Hey, anybody out there that might still be paying attention, I'm going to shut this down. Thank you for joining us. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. We meet every Tuesday at 2 in Tequilas, and we talk tech talk. So come and join us then, either virtually or in person.
He did that to me last.
Until next week, Tech On.